Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to ARH Design Academy, and I hope you are all doing well. Very few days left for the exam, and I hope your preparations are doing well. So let us start with drawing set 5 reviews. Now we had three questions as always for drawing set 5. We had a 2D composition, a little advanced one, in which we had to depict a principle of design which is hierarchy, a very important principle of design according to me, using basic geometrical shapes, and you had to use four colors to create a sense of harmonious composition overall. Uh, the 3D composition, it said in 3D composition that you had to create a simpler form of your favorite building or monument using basic 3D elements such as cuboids, hemisphere, cones, etc. I had specifically said that the drawing that you make should not be memory drawing, or it should not look like memory drawing, but we'll talk about that when the drawing comes. And we had another interesting question where we had to do book design a cover for architectural magazine. So let us start with the drawings. Now the first one we have is from Giridhar. He is from Maharashtra. So in this one, if I talk about only about the composition part, I think the execution part could have been much better, and the way it is finished could definitely have been better. But if I leave that part aside, if I talk only about the hierarchy part of this, so I just want to explain what hierarchy is, right? So hierarchy is when in a composition, if there is one element that grasps your attention first, then maybe by contrast or by other element of design, there is another area where your attention goes next, and then there is another area where your attention goes next. So then it creates the eye movement, like from point A to point B to point C and maybe to point D, if there is something like that. Now hierarchy basically gives you a sense of eye movement, as I said. And if I talk about hierarchy in this composition, so my attention first is going here and overall in this area, then it moves on to this, and then it moves on to the smaller ones. So it has some sense of hierarchy to it, there is no denying that. But I think if the composition was executed in a much better way, this could have been a really good composition. Plus, when you see future the next compositions, you will have a better idea of what hierarchy is. I'll explain what I think about hierarchy and what hierarchy is when we see a appropriate 2D composition. So this one is by Giridhar, and out of 50, this would get around 23, 24 aram se. Then this one. So this is by Disha. I think she's from Maharashtra itself. So in this one, there is some sense of hierarchy to it. I mean, your attention, as you can see, your attention goes here first, but then it just slides down to all these elements, and there is very little sense of hierarchy. There is, but how it could have been better is if you have a composition like this. If you have a triangle, let's say, which is the major emphasis area, then you have another triangular area like this, and then you have another smaller areas or smaller triangles like this. So what happens is, what we are doing is we are using the element of design which is size to create a sense of emphasis. So the first attention goes here, then it goes here, and then it goes here. So again, fairly good, nicely executed one, but I think it could have been more refined. So out of 50, this goes around 25, 26. Then we have this composition from Kasturi Pathak. I think she's also from Maharashtra. So now, because I do a lot of discussion with my students on principles of design, one thing that we discussed even in today's class itself is, for hierarchy to exist, there needs to be at least one or two areas of focus, right? So in this one, I'm having this area of focus. These triangles are helping me getting my attention here. So the first area of emphasis is definitely here, but then it again goes down to, through this triangle, it goes to this, and then it might go to this, and then it might go to this yellow circle. So this has a much better sense of hierarchy, I would say. But if I had to refine it, you have circle, you have these triangles which get your attention here, but then there has to be another element over here which maybe is connected through lines, and maybe there is circle like this. So again, a sense of eye movement. uh, I think lines can be used very beautifully in this composition. If lines are used as a supporting element to this composition, the hierarchy could have been much more refined in this. And so out of 50, this goes around 26, 27, because the composition is executed very nicely, and I really like the color scheme Kasturi has used. So it's nice work, but again, more refinements can definitely be there. This one by Aisha, very good drawing, beautifully executed. It has a good sense of uh, hierarchy as well, no doubt about that. But again, how could this have been refined? So you see, red, you have this color red, which is the background color. Now, then she has used this blue color, which is like the second layer. Then you have another layer of green, and on top of that, you have this yellow layer. So if I look at it closely, this is focus area number 1, this is focus area number 2, and this is focus area number 3. So we have a very clear sense of hierarchy. One thing that I feel is, if these green rectangles, if they could have been a little darker, almost merging with the blue, so the yellow ones could have been in much more focus, and the sense of hierarchy could have been established much better way. But again, a good composition. Out of 50, this would go definitely around 27, 28. I think it's a fairly good composition. Nice composition, no problem with that. Then we come to 3D compositions. Now this is by Yuvika Jadhav. Now this is, we know as it is a simpler version of Taj Mahal. Now the idea, and I think this is the best composition I have, 3D composition I have received according to the question, because this has a sense of isometric, this also has a sense of basic shapes only, it does not look like a memory drawing. So you have this cuboid over here, out of which this small portion has been subtracted. Then you have this cylinders over here, and top of it you have this cone. So this creates the minarets, and this creates the main structure of the Taj Mahal. I think shadows are also fairly nicely done. काफ़ी अच्छा composition है. I think it's a fairly good composition, no problem with this. Only thing I feel is it could have been a little more detailed. If you study the plan of the main structure, it is like this. So you have, it's an octagonal plan which goes like this. So a little bit more detailing could have been much better. But again, I don't have any problems. I always try to give you crits to refine your drawings, but this one is fairly good. Out of 50, this would go around 26, 27. Nice one, nicely executed one. Then we have this by Aisha. So this is Burj Khalifa. Now in this one, I think I will not say that this is a 3D memory drawing, but when we say 3D, we need to have a sense of isometric to it. So if this could have been done in such a way, let me give you just a quick sketch for that. So we have this, then we have another cylinder like this, then we have another cylinder like this, and then we have another cylinder. And then if it goes like this could have been a nicer composition. You could also use a cone on top of it. Much detail, I'm just giving you a rough block idea. But yeah, good one, no problem. It has that sense of 3D to it. It as of now, it does not look like a memory drawing to me, which I had mentioned कि memory drawing जैसा नहीं दिखना चाहिए. So out of 50, this would go around 25, 26. Isometric 3D में होना चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से, काफ़ी important एक aspect हो जाता है 3D का. Then you have this by Kasturi, and now see, you have to understand the difference between a 3D composition and a memory drawing. 3D composition, I think when a question says that you have to do a 3D composition, it calls for isometric. I mean, according to me, any 3D composition has to be done in isometric only. And in memory drawing, perspective is the main part or main aspect of any drawing. So this one has 2-point perspective, and if you see this one or even this one, the one by Yuvika, this one looks like a 3D composition, but this one looks like a a normal human eye view, and because it has used perspective, I don't think it really qualifies as 3D composition. But again, I would not have my own prejudices against you, and if I had to judge it accordingly, 3D composition out of 50, this would go around 23, 24. Why marks are a little less? Because question asks for a 3D composition, not for a sketch or a memory drawing in perspective. So यहाँ पे mark इसीलिए कम हो रहा है, no other way. Structurally, it's a nice composition. I feel if I take away the aspect of isometric, it's a fairly good composition. Also, the question asked for a famous monument, and I'm not sure if this is a familiar building that I know. So उस पे शायद थोड़ा काम और हो सकता है. This one by Disha. This is Dancing House by Frank O'Gehry. Now this is a very interesting one. If you see, so the way I would portray this in isometric, so I would have a cylinder or a truncated cone like this building, and then I would have a cylinder here, and this is a bent cylinder. So this would go around like this, and then I would have a smaller cuboids over here. So I think this, something like this I was expecting. This also looks like a sketch. Background चीज़ों का कुछ ज़रूरत नहीं था, because again it's a 3D composition, it is not a memory drawing. But चलो ठीक है, काम तो अच्छा ही किया है, कोई दिक्कत वाली बात है नहीं. ओनली थिंग इसकी क्वेश्चन को एक बार समझ लो कि क्वेश्चन में क्या बोला है. यू डिड नॉट हैव टू ड्रॉ अ मेमोरी ड्राइंग, इट इज़ नॉट अ स्केच, इट्स अ मेमोरी ड्राइंग. It's a 3D composition. Okay, so keep that in mind when you do the next 3D composition, and if the questions ask specifically for a 3D composition. Then we had the poster, or the, as you can say, magazine cover. So this one is by Disha Chauhan, and I really like this. It has a very good sense of composition. The lettering or the typography is done really nice. It has a sense of contrast in itself. The visual that is used is also a very good composition. I would say a very nice drawing. And overall a good composition. Finishing level भी काफ़ी अच्छा है. So out of 50, this would go around 27, 28. Then we have Giridhar का काम है, he's from Maharashtra. So I think he has used soft pastels, if I'm not wrong. Giridhar, please confirm with me कि ये soft pastels है या नहीं. और यहाँ पे I just want to make clear one thing, that in JEE they have specifically mentioned that you have to only use pencil colors, and it's a much smarter choice, because oil pastels or soft pastels for that matter, they smudge a lot. So by the time your drawing gets to the examiner, it might be a very smudgy drawing. So that should not be the case. Always use pencil colors. A lot of people also ask me, sir, which color pencils to go. I would suggest, if you can afford it, because Staedtlers are really expensive. Staedtlers is a good choice, but you can also go with Faber Castles. Faber Castles का एक 48 का होता है, that's also good. And see, your composition का quality does not depend on the pencil. There is a very slight difference between Faber-Castell and Staedtler. Staedtlers are definitely much more superior, but I think soft pastels, oil pastels, sketch pens, watercolors for that matter, if some people are doing, वो नहीं होना चाहिए. So यहाँ पे एक दो बातें हैं. I think the typography, this needed to be much in focus. The typography of the title of the magazine could have been a little bolder and much more emphasis, and this could have been actually a little smaller. So a sense of hierarchy is kind of missing in this. So out of 50, this goes around 24, 25. Okay. Then we have this, a beautiful composition by Kush Bhansali. He is also from Maharashtra. So I feel it's a very good composition, very nicely executed, beautifully executed, I would say, very nicely done. The typography here is like just beautiful typography, beautiful finishing, beautiful execution. I just have to make only one point, that it does not kind of look like a magazine cover. It looks like a poster. So उस पे हमें थोड़ा सा शायद काम करना पड़ेगा. मैगजीन कवर एक बार तुम देख लो कि मैगजीन कवर क्या होता है, किस तरह से किया जाता है. जनरली इट हैज़ अ प्रोजेक्ट रादर दैन अ कंसेप्चुअल स्केच लाइक दिस. बट अगेन, because you guys are starting your journey into architecture, I think this one is fairly acceptable, no problem with that. And out of 50, this would, I would give this 28, 29 because execution quality is really, really good. See, as I've been saying again and again and again, if you want your artwork, let it be 2D, 3D or memory, if you want the examiner to take them seriously, you have to work on your execution. If your execution is poor, or if it is not executed properly, the presentation is not nice, examiner is just not going to take it that seriously. So no, if you have a beautiful and a very, amazing concept, but it is not done properly, there is no point. So execute properly, have good ideas, but execute properly. So this one is a very good example of that, and that's why it has got the highest mark in this category. So these were the drawings that I received, and now we are going to do the test, mini test. The first question, now here I want to do something very interesting. You were given a visual, and this type of questions definitely come in NATA, and you had to identify 4 prominent principles of design which can be identified in the given painting. So according to me, focus is the primary one, focus is the effect, convergence is the cause, fragmentation and monochromatic are the properties of the composition, and movement or rhythm or hierarchy or pattern, I don't really find it there. It's the focus is here, causing because of convergence, and fragmentation is where a form is taken and it is broken down into smaller factors or smaller forms, but it still should be identifiable. तो वो fragmentation होता है. And monochromatic, what monochromatic is. So I actually asked 2 of my students, and you might have seen the community post also on this. So I asked 2 of my students to create a composition using fragmentation, convergence, focus and monochromatic as a principle of design, and they came up with this. So you guys tell me in the comments ki number 1, number 2 and number 3, do they feel like they have the same principles of design, or it is something different? I really wanted to discuss with you guys ki if do they have the same principles of design, and if I can, do you like A, B or C? Which one do you think portrays the principle of design, fragmentation, convergence, focus and monochromatic in the best possible way? So please let me know that in the comment section as well. Okay, so this one is by Chiara and this one is by Amruta. We will be doing more questions like this. I think in questions drawing set 6 you have a very interesting question, so please wait for that. I'll upload the video mostly by today or tomorrow. Then again, so we are getting a little deep into the questions on building. So you were given the ceiling of a famous building in Barcelona designed by Antonio Gaudi, and you have to identify the name of that building. So the name of the building is Sagrada Familia. Now let me talk a little bit about Sagrada Familia. So Sagrada Familia is a unfinished Roman Catholic basilica in Barcelona, Spain. It is designed by Spanish architect Antonio Gaudi, and it's a World Heritage Site. It started its construction on 1882, 19 March, under architect Villar, who resigned in 1883, and Antonio Gaudi took over, and then he put all his energy into this project only. He used elements of Gothic and curvilinear art nouveau. Again, these are our architecture movement, जिसके बारे में हम future videos में बात करेंगे, but you can do your own research about them. And the mixture of these two things, the amalgamation of these two things, this architecture movement gives the unique characteristic to this building in terms of the form and the style. At the time of 1926, at the time of his death of Antonio Gaudi, the project was only 15 to 25% complete, and according to the official website, the project is planned to be finalized by December 2021. Maybe because of the pandemic, the dates have been shifted here and there, but the original planning was to finish it by December 2021. So it is a building, or it is a project that lasted the construction process lasted for 3 whole centuries, in the 19th, 20th and 21. So it's a very prominent building, very, very interesting building, and we are going to talk about this building in much more detail now. So this is, as we see, as I said, this is still an unfinished building. We are not done with the final building yet. So this is actually a model of how it looks, or how it should look at the end of the day when the project is completed. And if you see this one, so the white ones are the one which are already done, and the brown ones are to be executed, or they are in the process. And this is the current state of the project now. It's a huge project. Antonio Gaudi did a lot of experimentation, and he did a lot of he put a lot of efforts into this, and that's why this is a masterpiece by Antonio Gaudi. His style of work and his style of architecture has reached the maximum level into this. It's a very, very beautiful building in Barcelona, Spain. So we are going to talk about the plan of this building, because a lot of you have been asking about the plans of famous buildings. So this is the plan of building. You will see that it is in the form of a cross, like this. Show you, yeah. And this is the nave, this is the transept. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 aisles. This is the apse, and okay, I think I can explain it better here. So this part is called the nave, and this part is called the transept, like this. This one is the apse. This part is an underground part which is known as the crypt, and you have the nativity facade on number 5, you have the passion facade on number 6, and you have the western scarcity on number 7. So we will so this is how the planning of this done. So the church has a plan that of a Latin cross with 5 aisles, as I explained. The central nave vaults reach 45 meters. The central wave, the photo that we saw, this reaches a height of total 45 meters overall. And with the side nave, these ones, they go up to 30 meters. Columns are placed on a 25-meter grid, except in the apse, in this part, where columns are in the horseshoe pattern, as you can see over here as well. So this is how the planning of Sagrada Familia is done. Now talking about the spires, Gaudi's original plan calls for a total of 18 spires representing ascending order of height. So we have 12 apostles or 12 disciples of Jesus. Then we have Virgin Mary, the 4 evangelists, and tallest of all, the Jesus Christ, which is this one. The central spire, the Jesus Christ, is to be surmounted by a giant cross, like this, as you can see. And the total height for that would be 172 meters or 566 feet. And when this will be surmounted, when after the completion of the spires, the Sagrada Familia will be the tallest church in the world, 11 meters taller than the current record holder, that is Ulminster, which is 161 meter at its highest point. So this is also another interesting fact about Sagrada Familia, and I thought I should share that with you. Then about the facade, Sagrada Familia has 3 main facades. So we have the Nativity facade, which you can see here as well. This one is the Nativity facade, the main facade, you can say. Then we have the Passion facade, which looks like this, and we have the Glory facade, which looks like this. So this building has 3 different facades, and all of them are in different style, and they have their own characteristic, but they are combined together to create a harmonious design or harmonious form of the building. And these are the photos of the interior. So this is the central nave of the building, which is, as I said, 45 meters tall. These are the side aisles, and this is the side aisles. The intricacy of design, or the intricacy that has been executed in the Sagrada Familia, is the reason why this building took so long to build. Around 133 years or 135 years it overall took. So this is Sagrada Familia. I think it's a very beautiful building. There are a lot of interesting facts available on the internet. Please go and read about it. I think it's a very famous building, and it is definitely the masterpiece of Antonio Gaudi, who also did Casa Mila and Casa Batlló as well. You might also want to read about them. So this was Sagrada Familia. Then the next painting, because there were questions on painters and painting, so I thought I would give this question on Indian painters. So the question says, the given painting are by celebrated artist who has received Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan. his work changed from expressionism to abstract on the concept of bindu or point in his later life. Identify the painter. So these are four different paintings, by the way. So the artist is S.H. Raza, or as we know him, Syed Haider Raza. He passed away, or he left his body in 2016. So he's a very renowned Indian artist. He's a recipient of, as I said, Padma Shri, Fellowship of Lalit Kala Akademi, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan. He co-founded, he did his study from Government School of Art, Nagpur, and then he went on to Bombay. And I think in 1950 he shifted to France. Before that, he started the famous PAG or Bombay Progressive Artists Group, and they did a very beautiful. They did a very different and very beautiful kind of work, and they held a lot of exhibitions in Mumbai region also. The idea of this group was to set out of or break free from the influence of European realism that we sometimes see in Raja Ravi Verma's paintings, and bring Indian inner version, or in Hindi as we call it Antargyan, into the art. And this is where S.H. Raza occupies his place in the Indian art scenario. So once he was in France, he continued to experiment with currents of Western modernism, moving from expressionist modes toward greater abstraction. So in 1970s, I guess, yeah. So in 1970s, he got he had this feeling of unauthenticity towards his work. He actually called his previous work as plastic work. I'll show you some of his works in the next slide. So he said what he has been doing is plastic art, and I think he grew very dissatisfied with his own work, and he took trips across India, especially Ajanta Ellora, Gujarat, Varanasi, Rajasthan, where his study in Indian culture and Indian history and Indian mythology and overall Indian philosophy deepened. And this is where he came to this concept of Bindu. Now Bindu is related to the Indian philosophy of being the point of all creation. This you can, if you read a little bit of Indian philosophy, Vedic cultures and all, you will see that all the Vedas and Upanishads, they go towards that one point where the world started. And the reason this interested Raza so much, because he was looking for a new inspiration for his art and created a new point of creation for himself. So he calls this Bindu, or his newfound passion for this concept, as his own rebirth as an artist. And then he essentially worked on the same concept. He used to work, as you can see, these are his early works, and they are more towards more realism, and then he slowly grew into abstract ones. And once, I think after 1970, he switched absolutely to abstract, and then he did worked on lot of there is this science, or you can say mystic field called Tantra, and he took a lot of elements from there, Tantra and Yantras, if you know what they are. And then he went on to add, so he started with the Bindu, and then he added Tribhuj, which which gave the idea of space and time, and Prakriti Purusha also. And later he experimented on different concepts such as Nagas, Kundalinis and others. And this painting particularly, I think this painting is called Saurashtra, and this was sold for around 16.1 crores, one of the most expensive painting of that time in the world. So this has been the journey of S.H. Raza, and he has inspired a lot of artists. And he's a great guy. He has received Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, Lalit Kala, and a lot of awards. If you go to his Wikipedia page, you will find a lot of information about him. Then we come to question number 4, that is in CMYK color system used in printing, if C is used 100, M is used 100, and Y is 0, which color would be printed? So this is the question related to color theory, and it's a very specific question. I mean, to know what is CMYK and to know this, to find out the answer, you need to know what CMYK is. So CMYK is a color system used in printing. It's also known as process color or 4 color. whenever, let's say, you want to print your business cards or any brochure or something, they ask you if you want to do 4-color printing or digital printing. So in 4-color printing, or you also call it screen printing as well, these 4 colors are used. If you have printer at your home, you know that you bring this cyan, magenta, yellow and K, which is called key, which is black. And this is how the printings are done. If you see around in the newspapers also, you will see this 1 2 3 4, like let's say this is the page of the newspaper. Somewhere at the down you will find these 4 dots somewhere on every page. This is the way they check that the printer is working well or not. CMYK refers to, as I said, cyan, magenta, yellow and K, which is key or black. 4 inkblades used in some color printing, cyan, magenta, yellow and key. In half toning or screening, another term that you should look for is not utilized. CMYK can only produce 7 colors. So this is a kind of a cryptic sentence. To understand the depth of this, you need to have you need to again go on the Wikipedia page, read about it, because I think this is an important part of color theory. And what I mean by that, if you understand what half toning or screening is, if that is not utilized, you can only produce 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. So then there is half toning, there is screening angles, and there are a lot of things in CMYK. But I think इतना knowledge तो तुम्हें CMYK system के बारे में होना ही चाहिए, काफ़ी important है. Then we have this mental ability question. Here are some words translated from an artificial language. So we had this for cupboard, this for boardwalk, and this for pullman. So we had to find walkway. So the way you do that is you do reverse engineering. So you have walk as one word and way as another. So you can find walk we have over here, and we have board and board, these 2 words here. So if you see this one and this one, they have LASAN and LASAN. So we can infer that LASAN means BOARD. If that is boardwalk, then POEN becomes walk. So this we know that in the artificial language, in walkway will have the word POEN. Now because of this one and this one, they just absolutely get cancelled. So we have this and this. Now how do we identify between this? So again, if you observe, POEN, this is one word, and MIGEN, but if you see MIGEN is also here, and if BOARD, board, is LASAN, then CUP means MIGAN, and we want to find walkway. So the answer by cancellation comes out to be option number 4. So this is how this type of questions are to be solved. Then this is again a matching definition question. So here you are given a definition: violating an apartment lease occurs when a tenant does something prohibited by the legally binding document that he has signed with the landlord. Which situation below is the best example of violating an apartment lease? So first one is, Tim has decided to move to another city, so he calls his landlord to tell him that he is not interested in renewing his lease when it expires next month. So in the lease, it is not in writing that you had to renew, so it is not a binding contract. So this one doesn't follow. In this one, which is the correct answer, you will see that Valerie recently lost her job, and for the last 3 months has neglected to pay her landlord the monthly rent that they agreed upon in writing. So this was the part of the agreement, and she could not do it. So when she moved up into apartment 8 months ago. So this is, I think, the correct definition for violating the apartment lease. And you can go for this too. You will find that these two also doesn't match up to the definition. So that is question number 6. Then we had this building, and you also know the name of this building, that is National Museum of Qatar. The architect is John Newell, and it's a very interesting thing about this building that I want to tell you. So see how concepts are developed from local sources also, or local geography also. So designed by Jean Nouvel, the project was completed in 1921, fairly recent project. So if you see, the building design is inspired by a mineral formation commonly found in the desert, this one, and this one is called as desert rock. and this is a very common type of rock or a rock formation found in the Gulf area. The desert rose is a rock formed when minerals crystallize in the crumbly soil just below the surface of the shallow salt basin. So this is actually this is what is found in the Gulf area or the Gulf country, and this is how the design has been used, and this form has been used in design. Now how and why this form has been used? Because it has this sense of familiarity to it, and taking a concept from local source is always good. It have that sense of as I said, familiarity to it. And the system of interlocking discs, as you can see here, surrounding the historic palace like necklace, looks like as it been propagated organically like the way a stone do. And also you see this overhanging things, so they also create a sense of shadow, and people can take a walk in the shadows of those discs. So this is also another beautifully executed, beautifully planned, beautifully conceptualized building. And if you see the section of the building, the section is also like a undulated, it has this ups and downs going on, which also is a taken an inspiration from the natural landscape of the country. So this is National Museum of Qatar, designed by John Novell. Then we have question number this question we have: the following emblem was associated with, and the answer is Bauhaus architecture. Now, what about Bauhaus School of Architecture? So, it was the 20th century's most influential school of art, architecture, and design. The Bauhaus was opened in Weimar by German architect Walter Gropius in 1919. So, the theory of Bauhaus was of a utopian vision of fluid boundaries between artistic creativity and design utility. So, the idea was to bring in craftsmanship and to bring in the industrial revolution together to create something known as Gesamtkunstwerk. It's a German word which means work of art. So it focused a lot on the mass production quality and the geometry and all the other. So it's a beautiful philosophy that Bauhaus school has. If you want, you can read about it. So again, just go to the Wikipedia page and just go through it. So this is the building that Walter Gropius himself designed. It has classroom, it has studios, it has lecture halls and all. And another artist called Paul Klee was also a teacher, or he was also a lecturer in the school. Then we had question number 9, and you know what we do with this. Kya din aa gaye? So again, let me just explain ki kya hai. So you might see that this is some kind of code OTTFFSS, but this is actually a very simple one. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the next 3 words would be 8, 9, 10. So the answer for this is to be E and T. And question number 10 is, we had a 30-second question. You had to observe it for 30 seconds. This is not as difficult as they were in the exam, but again, we build by practice. And after 30 seconds, you would have this question: how many such unique suns of any color were present in the given matrix? So again, I am going back, but you had 1, 2, 3, 4 such suns. So the answer for that would be 4. And this was your mini test 5 and drawing set 5 review. I'm actually thinking to change the format of this test, because I think now you need larger test, bigger test. So I'm actually planning to do a test of 25 questions each, but I might not be able to do the discussion over them, but the drawing set reviews will continue. Once I do the 25 question set, and they don't need the discussion, I think I can upload the test in a much more regular way. But as I said, drawing set would be continue. You would get your mini test 6 and drawing set 6 as soon as possible, and you keep sending me your drawings, and I'll do the reviews. The test format that we have been following might change, and I hope this test helped you. I think I tried to include as much knowledge as possible, so that you get a better understanding of how things work and how things are, not just question and answer. Because as I said, I was actually discussing with my kids also ki NATA has gone beyond the surface level. I mean, most of the coaching classes, the material that they provide is a very shallow material. You know the building, you know the architect, and that's it. But now NATA is actually getting much deeper into the knowledge, and they are asking you questions which are on much deeper level. So I think this level of knowledge is very, very important, and you should have this knowledge. So even if you have joined any class, any coaching, I think you should do your own study as well, and whatever study material they have given, go do your own research, make your own notes, and that is what's going to save you. The material that any coaching class is generally providing in this scenario is not enough. You need to do your own research. There is no other way about it. So ठीक है, I think that being said, this was my time today, and I'll see you soon with the new format of the test and drawing set 6. Take care of yourself.